Hello, hello. Check, check. Can you hear me now? Let's see. I want this just right. The angle of the mic makes a big difference. So let's see who comes in. Happy Sunday. It's just about a quarter after 1. I'm a couple minutes late, so it is p.m. on the East Coast Standard Seaboard time, to be exact. I'm still not, dang it, but in all likelihood, I will be by the end of the day. So we'll see. Is my sound okay? I do have somebody here, if you don't mind just saying yay or nay as far as the sound goes. And is my face a little too dark? I wanted to cover my crazy hair. I don't like my hairline, but sometimes it's fine and it's just me. What do I do? I want the Led Zeppelin thing on the front. Let me see if I can do it without making it too dark for my eyes if I put it like up. Okay. Is that all right? Do you mind if I have a little bit of shadow on my giant forehead? My forehead is so big it's an 8 head. That's a Spike Lee joke from Do the Right Thing, if anybody remembers that reference. I thought it was hilarious. Oh, let me let the doggy in 1 sec. Come on, baby. Coco. Coco. Okay. She scratched the door and then she runs off. She's just trying to yank my chain. Anyway, so I have so freaking much to talk with you guys about that I am almost just too overwhelmed and just don't even want to do it. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on behind the scenes, and we are being hoodwinked. Hoodwinked, I say. It is just like Natasha and Bullwinkle and Maxwell Smart and Agent 99. It's all the same. It's all the same. They tried telling us when I was a kid, when I was 5, and now we're living it. Hey, Helby, how's it going, my dear? Cap looks good. Thanks. You know, it was Lost. It's one of my favorites. It has the Led Zeppelin Zoso on it. And it's, one of the only ones I have that's like a light color. Most of them are really dark, which I like dark, obviously. Almost everything in my set and on my person is usually black or cobalt blue. But I think sometimes it's good to have some contrast, right? You're not going to see the shadows without the light. You're not going to see the light without the shadows, the yin and the yang. Helby says, all good, thank you. We have sunshine in Scotland today. Yay. Well, and we are getting hit with a monster storm today, allegedly, like half of the country, and I'm in that half. So we shall see. But I guess I'll just jump right in, right? Where do I start is how I usually open. Where to start? Okay. Please hit your like button if you don't mind, and admire the jewelry if you don't mind. I actually did not make any of what I have on. What do I have on? 3 necklaces, Kylie Rodney style. So there's this little skinny, sparkly one here. There's a long, sparkly, the aquamarine, my husband and my oldest daughter's birthstone. And then this cool thing that's like crocheted with sparkles in it. The earrings are just like a jade and a circle. They're really simple and really, I think, symbolic of coolness. And I got some cool bracelets on, but let's talk about the world issues, right? That might be more important than my jewelry. I think I focus on my jewelry as a way to like ground myself and distract myself, just try to like be here now, just try to meditate, just try to be short-sighted if at all possible, just for a minute. I mean, it's important to be grounded and not get overwhelmed with all this insanity. So we're being gaslit a million miles an hour, but let me try to break it down as simply as possible, because basically it's all about the lithium under the earth. That's what's behind all of this, in my opinion, in my conspiracy theory opinion, allegedly. So everything I say is simply my opinion for the sake of hoping to start a conversation, open up a discussion, learn something, educate myself. And if anyone else feels educated during the process, that's a huge bonus. I'm very community oriented and I'm very committed to helping others because there's a very greedy component of that in helping other people, you help yourself. You feel better about yourself. You feel comforted that you can comfort someone else. And, I used to say Mother Teresa was very selfish, and people that are selfless and do a lot for other people know what I'm talking about. It's like the rewards are so huge. You reap the benefits. What comes around goes around. And when you're kind and generous and caring, it comes back at you tenfold. I mean, people will take advantage of it too. Like, don't be Pollyanna about it, right? Those are the people you cut off and just tell to step off. Anyway, off my high horse. Where else was I headed with that? The YouTube is an entertainment platform, and I try to make it educational. Like infotainment is a nice little buzzword, but what's really important for me is doing this, expressing myself. I really enjoy having the chat to interact with. It just kind of keeps me on my toes rather than just doing a video, pre-recorded and then dropping it. I really enjoy presenting my material live, even though I know it makes it harder for people to watch sometimes, because sometimes people don't know about lives. They don't know how to get to the live and the video. Those are like two separate worlds. And sometimes people just don't have time for it. Like right now, Boston Brian is on. I dropped into his chat and said hi. And it was, in the past, I've sometimes postponed or canceled my lives on Sundays so that I can pay attention to his while it's live. But as a content creator, you learn pretty quickly that you have to just do your own content or you'll never get it done, because there's so much other great content to watch. I love watching the live How Sparks, but again, I just have to fit it in where it fits. I can't be watching it all of the hours of the day that he does it. I would love to. I would absolutely love to, but I'd have to have clones in order to get all my responsibilities met. It's a lot. And then keeping up with all my infotainment. So I feel like it's extremely important to pay attention to this stuff, as stressful as it is, as overwhelming and depressing as it can be. It does bring us together. Like right now, today, as we speak, there's a lot of these Tesla protests, I believe, and other types of protests too, possibly in Washington, D.C. right now. Jessica Denson has her thumb on the pulse for that. I love Jessica Denson's content. I love her work. I fully support her and encourage anybody that doesn't know who she is to follow the link that I'll put in the description later to her channel and some of her material. There's also a lot going on right now with all of a sudden there's a real authentic NK sighting that's circulating online for the last 24 hours. And if you don't know who that is, it has nothing to do with all this other stuff that I just introduced. It is the mistress in the Watts family annihilation case from 2018. So that was 7 years ago. Biatch got off scot-free. She was obviously protected, is still protected. She was at her friend's mom's funeral in January 16th of this year, and she was caught on the videotape of the memorial service. And it's just like a good 7.5 seconds of her walking right into the frame. It's so poetic. Like she's walking away from the Bible, away from the cross. She's wearing all black with a small, thin white collar. She looks the exact same, her hair, her face, everything, except for she's literally about 30 pounds heavier. Honestly, for her, she looks huge fat. I'll just say it. She looks huge freaking fat, but she's still very slender. I mean, she was just, you know, a not like skinny, skinny, but she was pretty darn slender back then when she was counting every freaking macro under the sun. She obviously lost track of the macros, like we all do, right? We all gain weight, but her face is what in the medical profession you call moon face. It's round like the moon, which could be from prednisone, the steroid, or other medications that give you round face. But it's my guess that it's just her genetics because she kind of had that round face prior to getting so slender. And the whole point of why I'm saying this is because I feel like our news cycle is getting flooded, especially true crime, with all of the Idaho 4 content that's getting dropped right now. Then we got Watts content getting dropped with that. There's been a handful of supposed sightings over the 7.5 years now. No, it'll be 7 years this August, so 6.5 years. And this is verifiable. So you've probably seen it already. I was on What's the Obsessions live last night. It was a very vivacious conversation that I was had the good fortune of participating in with her. She's a dear friend, and was it Sid Vicious was there, and I've missed her. I've missed my Watts the Obsession panel folks, and then a couple other people that were new to me, and it was quite good. I highly recommend it. It was very long. It was like 4+ hours, which that just happens when you have a panel. I mean, it's easy to go for an hour when it's a single person like myself. Easy to go for 2 hours, but when you have multiple people, that's when they just really get blown up into 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. And it can be unfortunate if you don't have time to hang out. You know, if you have like a life and a job and all that stuff and you need to sleep, you might not be able to catch it. So we are already 12 minutes in, and I want to get down and dirty. There's a lot of material to cover. So McDermott Cauldron. That's the heart of the matter. Never heard of it. McDermott Cauldron. It's in Southern California, right up against the Mexican border. Actually, the McDermott Cauldron straddles the Mexican border. The county that it's in, which is Imperial County, goes right up against the Mexican border. So it's just east of San Diego, and there's a shit ton of lithium there. Lithium is what is the driving force right now, I believe, in our politics, in the wars, in the attacks, in the distractions, in everything to do with the big E and Tesla and the little T and his besties, PP and Z, President Z, and Kim Jong. I don't like to say the names, you know, we'll just leave it at that. From North Korea. Hey, another NK. Another NK. What do you know? It's a conspiracy. Okay, let's go. So yeah, all of this focus on the protesters and what our U.S. government is now calling the Tesla terrorists and terrorism. And again, these are words I don't want to drop too many times in my vocals because AI is taken over, you guys. We are on the brink of full lockdown, like during COVID, except it's going to be a lot worse. And if you don't comply, you might get put in prison in Salvador L, let's call it, just to mess with the algorithm with the AI. That's the thing about AI is it's not that intelligent. It can't catch things when you mix them up in a very simple way like that. So they're catching everything. And if you think I'm paranoid, I am. But you can tell they catch everything when you talk about something and then you start seeing ads for it on your cell phone or your computer. Like that's how they roll. That's what they do. They're listening in. And when that first started a few years ago, I think the people that were noticing it were getting labeled paranoid. And probably some people thought that they were just paranoid. I mean, it's a freaking mind bender. All this stuff is. But what is going on right now, I think is the tip of the iceberg. Like these protests that are happening in Washington, D.C., people need to keep protesting because if we keep protesting everything, they can't do what they intend to do. The only way they can do what they intend to do is by instilling fear and the public granting them compliance. Do not comply. Live free or die is the motto of New Hampshire and myself. And to me, that's what our country was made for. It's like, how many people died for our country since 1776? The whole motto is live free or die. People in the military die honorably to protect freedom. And a lot of us that have grown up so spoiled with all that freedom don't even know that we have it. We've got the freedom to do whatever we want to do, to think whatever we want to think, and to say whatever we want to say within reason. I mean, the one thing we're not allowed to do is talk smack about any kind of endangerment of certain officials of the public. And we don't do that because you don't do that. That's fine. That's not really an infringement on freedom, in my opinion. That's just common sense, very common sense. So that's pretty much the only thing we're not allowed to say, mostly. But then, there's just a lot of ethical things and unethical things that we choose not to say. And again, it's all on you. You have the freedom to do those things, to talk smack. Go ahead, you can do it. Talk smack, and then you'll suffer the consequences. But what is important right now is that we are getting close to 70 days in to this new administration. And did I subscribe, share, notify, blah, blah, blah? Okay. And within about a month, the full implementation of 2025 could well be underway. And that is a state of affairs that is very similar to World War II Germany, and also very similar to a Margaret Atwood novel called The Handmaid's Tale, and very similar to some other things. So what I've learned just right before I came on live, you guys, how all of a sudden in the last couple of presentations, I've talked about the 20,000 children from the Ukraine region that have been abducted in the war, that El Presidente signed an executive order to discontinue tracking those abducted captive children that are being held under the Grand Pepe, we'll call him. And Mark Rubio is in charge of that. So that order was signed about a month ago, like I think right before the President Z, I don't want to say his name. Again, I'm just going to try to leave names out of it. And if that's difficult to follow, I do apologize. I think anyone who's paying attention to current events, it's pretty easy. So President Z came over for an ambush attack in the Oval Office a few weeks ago, which was right after that executive order was signed about those not tracking the captive kidnap victims anymore. But the good news is that that was revoked 3 days ago, you guys. Like, I just came across that minutes before I came on live, and I was like, I am so glad I saw this, because that was really pushing me over the edge in the deep end. So I think what happens is that when there's such revolt against these things, they get reversed, because they know that people are onto them and they don't want to be unpopular, and they're trying to do things on the down low. So once it's discovered and people are talking about it on the internet, then they may change course. So right now we got all this crap going on with the land that's green, that's north of us. And come to find out that, there's a ton of resources there under the earth. Of course, there's a ton of resources under all of the earth, different resources in different places. But the big E and a lot of other people on the planet are hyper focused on lithium right now. Not the lithium so much for treating bipolar disorder, lithium for cell phone batteries and electric cars, etc. As Hal Spark says, etc., etc., etc. It's hilarious. Anyway, so come to find out that one of the Earth's largest mineral deposits of the lithium is in California. Isn't that wild? Since we all know what's been going on with California and the fires and Governor Newsom and his recent pivot. Money talks, you guys, and we're talking bazillions of dollars. So I have a few articles I want to read to you just to lay the foundation of all this crazy talk. So it's not just me. If it's printed on the interwebs, then we know it's for realsies, right? So Crime Circus just dropped a big splashy video about the Idaho 4. No coincidence in my mind that that town where that happened just happens to be the same as a city from what we used to refer to as the USSR, right? So let me go ahead and read these articles and do that. The Inconvenient Truth is the name of the book that Usha Vance had over her shoulder in that bizarre video she made a few days ago, where she was like, "Hi, I'm me, and I'm going to take a little trip to Greenland. Come with me." And she just happens to have this one book right here by Al Gore, An Inconvenient Truth. Like, okay, let's just talk about these articles. And I want you guys to know that I want to kick credit to one of my mods who directed me towards these articles, because I would have had no idea if MC3PO had not alerted me to them. So what should I start with? There's a couple of good ones, and I'm just going to go ahead and read them. Which one? I also forgot to mention yesterday, you guys, a video on the channel called Democracy Now! That has a really good 30-minute educational piece about the history of the Muskie family and South African ties and things like that. So it's extremely revealing. And this is where, we're kind of headed towards this apartheid type of thing. And again, I don't want to be saying that word. I don't even want to be thinking that word. Okay, so I'm going to read you this article. Are you ready? It is titled U.S. Hits Lithium Jackpot. I'll call it Lilith. How about that? 18 million tons worth 540 billion found underground. So that's like half of a trillion, right? Massive 18 million tons of Lilith worth 540B unearthed in US could reduce China's grip. So remember, this all goes back to that country is run by President Z. It's not the letter Z, it's actually the letter X. I think it's like XI, which is maybe why the big E is so fascinated with that letter. Anyway, I'm just going to read. I'm going to calm my butt down. The discovery of such a vast Lilith reserve comes at a critical moment for the country's energy goals. This article was written 3 days ago, March 27th. I'm just going to read. With the demand for Lilith soaring, the U.S. government is taking action. In a recent move to boost our country's mineral production, President Donnie Little T signed an executive order to fast-track domestic mining projects, including those for critical resources like Lilith. I'll call it Lilith. I could call it Lily too, then that's kind of even better, but I'll try to call it Lilith if I remember. But what if the U.S. was already sitting on one of the largest untapped Lilith reserves in the world? What if? What if a big bomb dropped on your head right now? Shut the F up. I can't believe that man said that in that meeting. Such a child. That man baby. I mean, there I go calling him a man. Silly me. Beneath the surface of California's Salton Sea lies a discovery so massive it could redefine the nation's clean energy future. Scientists have identified an astonishing 18 million tons of Lilith, valued at 540 billion, buried beneath the murky waters of the state's largest lake. Dubbed white gold, I'll put a link to this article in the description, of course. This find has the potential to revolutionize the U.S. battery industry and reduce the nation's dependence on foreign lithium imports. However, extracting this critical resource comes with its share of challenges, from environmental risks to geopolitical considerations. These people are elbows up or knives out, balls to the walls. They're going effing apeshit over this. Fighting like they all think it's theirs. They're a bunch of freaking pirates, man. Okay. The Salton Sea, situated in Southern California's Imperial County, now holds one of the largest Lilith brine deposits in the world. A study funded by the U.S. Department of Energy revealed that the lake contains far more Lilith than previously estimated. 18 million tons compared to an earlier figure of 4 million tons. So almost 5 times the amount, you guys. And that's if they're even accurate in this estimation, which I would imagine that they are with their scientific research tools. To put that into perspective, this amount of Lilith could power batteries for 382 million electric vehicles, surpassing the total number of cars currently on American roads. But for how long? Michael McKibben, a geochemistry professor at UC Riverside and a contributor to the study, underscored the importance of this finding to the daily galaxy. This is one of the largest Lilith brine deposits in the world. This could make the United States completely self-sufficient in Lilith and stop importing it through China. Remember when Little T called it China? So freaking rude. And you got to think he's doing stuff like that on purpose. He likes pushing people's buttons. And also he's insane. Okay, recognizing the significance of this discovery, California Governor Gavin Newsom, it's hard to not say Newscum, right, referred to the Salton Sea as the Saudi Arabia of Lilith, emphasizing the potential for the U.S. to become a major player in the global Lilith production. I wonder how how that breaks down for his own wealth. The promise of energy independence, the discovery of such, or I'm thinking financial independence for people that have their fingers in the pie, like little t, big E, PP, and now Mr. G. The discovery of such a vast lithium reserve comes at a critical moment. As the global shift toward electric vehicles and renewable energy accelerates, and again, this is why little t tries to hate the wind and the windmills, because he wants to focus on making bazillions of dollars, which he's not going to make with the wind. Like, you can't bottle up the wind and sell it now, can you? You can try. I'm sure there's a way, but it would just become a snake oil thing. But oh, who cares? So long as you get rich, right? As the global shift toward electric vehicles and renewable energy accelerates, demand for Lilith continues to skyrocket. Lilith batteries power everything from smartphones to EVs, making this element one of the most sought after resources in the world. And seriously, not to mention all of the bipolar disorder that people are suffering or getting misdiagnosed and treating with that type of medication. But that type of medication is only going to work for um, bipolar 1, in my opinion, in my professional opinion. Currently, the US relies heavily on Lilith imports, particularly from China, Australia, and South America. The ability to produce Lilith domestically could reduce supply chain vulnerabilities and strengthen national energy security. Remember, little muskrat had a meeting with Hedge Pete a few days ago where they were going to be discussing Gina and those types of things. That meeting got canceled. I think they had like a fake meeting for about an hour, but it still looked like they had a meeting. He was dropped off, they hung out, and they walked down the stairs together when they left. But that was like at the same time that whole story was breaking with the Atlantic editor, Jeffrey Goldberg. And again, you got to wonder, these things are not by accident, they're by design, in my opinion. I'll say it again, my humble conspiracy theory opinion, allegedly. And it's not I that made that up, it's Rich Lux. Give him a shout out. He's hilarious. I like his content on YouTube. He's wild. By tapping into the Salton Sea's reserves, the U.S. has an opportunity to position itself as a leader in the battery supply chain, potentially reshaping the global energy market. The complex challenge of extracting Lilith, despite its potential, extracting Lilith from the Salton Sea presents several technical and environmental hurdles. Oh, you mean like destroying the earth? Well, thank goodness there's no such thing as climate change, right? All right. The process involves drilling geothermal production wells thousands of feet below the Earth's surface to access Lilith-rich brine. Is this like fracking? Once extracted, the brine is re-injected underground. While this method, I think it is the exact same thing. I think it is fracking, actually. Like, because we have fracking here in Ohio, and that's probably what their goal is, the lithium brine. Oops, I said it. Okay. Got to be more careful. The brine is re-injected underground. While this method is more environmentally friendly than traditional Lilith mining, it still raises concerns about water usage, seismic activity, and the ecological health of the already fragile Salton Sea region. So seismic activity, there was just another giant earthquake yesterday or the day before. They seem to be happening more and more. Where are we at? Infrastructure investment, regulatory approvals, and sustainable extraction practices will play a crucial role in determining whether the Salton Sea can truly become America's Lilith hub. Balancing economic opportunity with environmental responsibility remains a pressing challenge for policymakers and scientists alike. Well, I know. Why don't we just get rid of all the policymakers and scientists alike? Right? Doge, just fire them all. Cancel everything. Oh, wait. We canceled the Ebola research? Oops. Let's bring that one back. I heard Ebola is bad. Yeah. Okay. Got it. Ebola bad. The discovery of Lilith beneath the Salton Sea has the potential to reshape the energy landscape of the U.S. However, harnessing this vast resource requires navigating a complex web of technological, environmental, and political factors. Yeah, watch out for Pee-Pee, man. He will come after you. He will send his flying monkeys. I think they're named Big E and Little T. If successful, this venture could not only strengthen American energy independence, but also drive the transition toward a cleaner, more sustainable future. That might be the whole thing. Yep, that's the whole thing. Kind of seems like it got cut off, doesn't it? I'm sure that there was a lot more. They're like, nope, we're not saying that. The public can't handle the truth, right? So we're all still here. We got 4 of us. That makes a good party. Do you have your tea or coffee, you guys? Cheers. So let's see what else I got in my little notebook here. Like I said, I'm pretty overwhelmed with all of this information. The conflict of interest with canceling these programs, canceling all of the regulatory scientists and lawyers. Crazy. Coffee, Helby says. Yay. Yeah, I actually have iced coffee because it's kind of warm, even though we have this lovely storm rolling through. And I have my window open. So if it gets loud, that'll be exciting if we have a nice storm, as long as it doesn't disconnect the connection, or if anything else disconnects the connection. Thanks for being here, Helby, and thanks for your chat. Then I know that everything is still working. And I get so forgetful. I think you said you're in Australia. No, Scotland. You're in Scotland, right? And wouldn't we all love to go to Scotland? Love the sound of thunder. I know, I get so excited. I'm always like, as long as no one gets hurt, because people do get hurt in storms. People get struck by the thunder, no, struck by the lightning, and trees fall on people, and then electrical wires come down, and all kinds of cray-cray. All right. So I think that what's going on right now in our government is very similar to what was going on in the era of President N in the early 70s. And I know most people know who that is, but for anyone who doesn't, I'll just spell it out literally: Nixon. All right. So he got himself into a world of hurt, and he resigned rather than, the humiliation of being impeached, but he was already impeached. He just quickly resigned before the ink dried on the impeachment papers, because that's how you do it, right? So a few weeks ago, after I think it was after he was sworn in, after the inauguration, little T started talking about N and how he was really a good guy, just misunderstood by the American public. I'm just like, why the F is he talking about N? And no, N was not a good guy. Little T keeps trying to confuse and confabulate good and the bad for everyone. Like, our enemies might be our friends, and our friends might be our enemies. Sure, there's a paradox in real life that's always true. However, he's trying to muddy the water. He's trying to scramble people's brains. He's laying the foundation for that thing I was talking about a few minutes ago, the compliance, trying to get people to comply, trying to threaten people and scare people and put people in this trance. Who remembers when he was campaigning and he did his little hitting on all the old ladies part of his campaign, and he was like, I want to be your protector whether you like it or not. Well, that was a different day, but same thing. Um, and he was doing a full blown trance thing. I'll try to find a link to it and put it in the description for anybody who's not sure what it is I'm referring to. I would think most Americans would know exactly what I'm talking about, but maybe folks from other countries might not know Helby. He did the weirdest speech where he was saying how, you know, you need to be protected and I'll care for you. It wasn't we'll care for you. I want to be your protector. I want to care for you. I want to take care of you. It was like he was making a freaking marriage proposal to all the old ladies of our country, trying to win their freaking votes. It was creepy AF. And he really did these like trance like chants. Like, I'm sure there are many people who fell for it. I am sure of it. They call people like me the Trump, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that word, rump derangement syndrome. And then there's the inversion of it. And I forget what that one is called. The Donnie unicorn magic syndrome. There's a word for it. It's just kind of been in politics lately. Here, I'll Google opposite of Trump derangement syndrome because it's kind of funny. Funny, not funny. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Oh my goodness, the baby was born, you guys. Holy crap. 1 second. There's the little T vindication syndrome. Let's see. And yeah, people bring up Jim Jones all the time. All the time. I'll have to look it up later. I don't want to waste my time on here. I want to look at my text. So congratulate me. I'm a grandma as of 12:59. So it took them a full hour to get a hold of everybody, but that's okay. 8 pounds, 5 ounces, 21 inches tall. What a perfect size baby. OMG. That is awesome. That is so awesome. So happy. I just got to do a little more texting. Sure, you understand. Priorities, right? Absolutely. How exciting. Wow, I'm so happy that I picked up the phone. Yes, huge congratulations. Always a pleasure listening to your conversations. You're so nice, Hellaby. Yeah, super exciting. So I'll be taking a trip to DC in no time. Wow. Born in the same region where me and my sister were born. That is really cool. That's like coming full circle. Because I've not lived in that area since I was 7. 7 years old. Yep. So that means it's been 50 years. It's been 50 years since I've lived there. So it's really cool that my oldest son got stationed there and has been living there and is having our first grandchild there. How happy. Oh, I'm so glad for them that he's finally out. She'd been in labor since Thursday night, I think. And the little bambino would be 37 weeks full term tomorrow. So just one day shy of it. So that is absolute perfection. 8.5 pounds. Like she's not a large person, and she was carrying very, very high up. I think little baby boys are usually higher up. When they're lower, I think that's the baby girls. But man, it gets so uncomfortable when they're like pushing in on your bladder and all your internal organs. I mean, even your lungs, when they're that high up, you can't really take a deep breath at the end. You're like hyperventilating practically. And you can hardly eat because your stomach's getting all smushed. Like you get full after like 2 bites, but then you're hungry again 12 minutes later. Phew, I'm so glad it's over for them. And yeah, they both slept well last night, even though labor was actively progressing. They both were able to get a bunch of shut eye, which is great because now they must be over the moon. I know I am. And yeah, I'm happy to not have an April Fool's grandbaby because that would just be like, you know, never ending jokes for a lifetime. I'm going to celebrate real quick right now by guzzling the rest of my coffee, checking the time, and then getting busy with the rest of this. There were a couple more things I wanted to share with you, like another article I wanted to maybe read, and maybe I wanted to play a video. One sec. And then we can wrap up so that this is not too long of a video. I just really felt like I needed to come on to say these things. The big epiphany that I had today that I felt like I needed to share, and I'm sure a lot of other people are having it, but I feel like it's important to hit it home because we all get so overwhelmed that we have trouble processing it all and prioritizing all of it. And I think that protecting Mother Earth from mass destruction is primo. And that book over Usha Vance's shoulder when she's getting ready to go to Greenland, that was a huge lie. The book of Al Gore was an inconvenient truth. It's a great book. He's a great writer. He's brilliant. And had he won that freaking election that I believe he won, that the Bush brothers cheated at, we'd probably be in a very different predicament. But things were funky back then with the same factors that they're funky with now, looking at these world powers that want the trillions of dollars worth of this substance. And I guess you can't make it chemically, you can't make it in a lab, you have to suck it out of the earth. And for anybody who doesn't remember like early Flintstones episodes, it's not safe to suck stuff out of the earth. You'll create problems and you might fall into the volcano. Come on. Thank goodness for early television, or we wouldn't know anything, huh? Always exciting when there is a new arrival. Oh, it's just so cute. And we got the puppy in the house too. I could maybe get the puppy at the end of the video to show her on the screen. My grand puppy, as I call her. So, puppies are almost harder to take care of than babies, in my opinion. But then they grow out of that puppy phase. I mean, it really takes a full 2 years to completely grow out of the puppy phase, but the crazy, crazy puppy phase, they grow out of pretty quickly, where you have to be on them 24/7. Okay, so a movie that I have not seen that I hear other channels talking about, and it seems like imperative. I'm probably going to have to watch it today. I don't know. All the President's Men. Have you seen that, Helby? Have you seen it? Let's look it up on the Google A. I bet he's strong as an ox. Strongly. Okay. I am looking up All the President's Men, and then I was going to maybe share with you guys another article or a short video before wrapping up. Let's see. I just want to know when that was made. It's gotten great reviews from the outset. I want to say it's Jack Nicholson, right? It's not the one with You Can't Handle the Truth, because that one has Tom Cruise in it. That was The Firm, wasn't it? All of the President's Men, or is it just All the President's Men? All the President's Men, without the of. 1976. Okay. And it's Robert Redford. Oh, I love Redford movies. Maybe I did see this. So, Dustin Hoffman. Okay, I'm just going to read you guys the overview. So, Dustin Hoffman and Robert Redford. Yeah, that'll be a great movie right there. Two green reporters, meaning new and young, not like green, like the political party. Two green reporters and rivals working for the Washington Post, Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein. Woodward's played by Redford and Bernstein played by Hoffman, researched the botched 1972 burglary of the Democratic Party headquarters at the Watergate apartment complex. With the help of a mysterious source codenamed Deep Throat, Hal Holbrook, these two reporters make a connection between the burglars and a White House staffer. Despite dire warnings about their safety, the duo follows the money all the way to the top. So, yeah. And then the movie The Post, I did see that. That came out about 8 years ago. That was an amazing movie that was based on the Pentagon Papers from Watergate, right? The Pentagon Papers. So I'm just going to have to watch that. And for anybody else, because this is like a replay of that, apparently. I was so young. I was 5 in 1972. So, I'm just going to read to you what Wikipedia says about the Pentagon Papers. The report of the Office of the Secretary of Defense Vietnam Task Force. The Pentagon Papers are the history of the U.S. political and military involvement in Vietnam from 45 to 68. released by Daniel Ellsberg, who had worked on the study. They were first brought to the attention of the public on the front page of the New York Times in 1971. A 1996 article in the New York Times said that the Pentagon Papers had demonstrated, among other things, that Lyndon Johnson's administration had systematically lied not only to the public but also to Congress. That's definitely a replay of what's going on right now, in my opinion. The Pentagon Papers revealed that the U.S. had secretly enlarged the scope of its actions in the Vietnam War with coastal raids on North Vietnam and Marine Corps attacks, none of which were reported in the mainstream media. For his disclosure on the Pentagon Papers, Ellsberg was initially charged with conspiracy, espionage, and theft of government property. See, I think that our current El Presidente, both El Presidentes, Los Presidentes, Los Locos Presidentes, there we go. I think they can get charged with conspiracy, espionage, and theft of government property. Oh, but this will happen to them too. Charges were later dismissed. After prosecutors investigating the Watergate scandal discovered that the staff members in the NIXON White House had ordered the so-called White House plumbers to engage in unlawful efforts to discredit Ellsberg. In June of 2011, the documents forming the Pentagon Papers were declassified and publicly released. What a freaking scandal, man. One scandal after another. Okay, I was going to put my phone down, but I won't because I've got to share that other thing I keep saying I'm going to share. Ages ago, I watched it. Wasn't it A Few Good Men? Oh, thank you. You're so smart, Helby. Yeah, you nailed it. With Tom Cruise, where he says you can't handle the truth. And Demi Moore, Jack Nicholson. Yeah, you nailed it. I didn't see that either, obviously. There was a while there where I was kind of anti-movie and anti-television. I guess I was busy with college and stuff. And then I got into the true crime. I was like right on the cutting edge of true crime. Always loved Dragnet true crime. And then always loved the investigative discoveries, the 48 hours, the 2020, the Dateline, Inside Edition, and hard copy. I mean, that was tabloid stuff, but still, it was true crime. And that's where, I started following Nancy Grace, and I thought she was really good until recently with her crap with the Idaho 4 propaganda. Okay, so let's see. Shall I read you this other thing? Or should I just play it for you? I'll just play this for you. If I can. Let's see. No, I can't. I can't figure it out.
Thacker Pass lithium reserves grow 286% in latest report, supporting 85-year mine life. The company's latest technical report estimates proven and probable mineral reserves of 14.3 million metric tons of lithium carbonate equivalent, with an average grade of 2,540 parts per million. This represents a 286% increase since the November 2022 feasibility study and supports an expansion plan of up to 5 phases, offering a mine life of 85 years. Thacker Pass's measured and indicated mineral resource estimate totals 44.5 million metric tons of lithium carbonate equivalent at an average grade of 2,230 parts per million, a 177% increase since the November 2022 feasibility study. Thacker Pass lithium reserves grow.
So, what is Thacker Pass, you ask? I'll tell you what it says here. Thacker Pass lithium mine, Humboldt County, Nevada. That's really close to where Kylie Rodney used to live. Isn't that interesting? Humboldt County, Nevada. Let's see. So I'm not even kidding. Could that have anything to do with the case with Kylie Rodney? We know that Kylie Rodney was politically inclined from a very young age, simply with her letter to Congress and I think the newspaper about the banning of plastic bags from grocery stores, making that a law for the state of California. That was 8 years ago, approximately, when she was approximately 11 years old. I believe that she wrote that. She could have been as old as 13, which would make it only like 4 years ago, 5, 6 years ago. She would be 19 if she were still living. She would be like 19 and a half, basically. But she wrote that. Shan found it. I was trying to find a link to it, but I haven't been able to find that link. And it's in one of Squirrels on Fire's videos. So I just need to try to figure out which video and then that'll link it up. But I know that when she discovered it and showed it, that then I was able to find it too because of her. But now I don't know how to find it. I can't remember where she found it. And that's what I've been trying to get information from her about. But I know she's been super busy. Anyway, Dante Del Toro was doing some testing of the soil at the rest area when he got disappeared and unalived a couple of months after Kylie Rodney and after Trinity Backus. It could be completely unrelated. Like those three cases might not even be related to each other, but there are indicators that make it quite feasible that they are related to each other. So could his testing of the dirt had anything to do with him getting disappeared and unalived? Could there be a whole thing with that? I think that that's a really good question to end on because I'm just treading into the weeds, going off the deep end. It's worth a watch. Cool. Yeah. I love Robert Redford. He's easy on the eyes. I love him almost as much as I love Paul Newman. I love Paul Newman. Man, what a pair they were. Like they were both better looking than each other, right? But Paul Newman, I mean, he just had such character and integrity. I think Redford has character and integrity too, but Paul Newman was married and faithful, which I don't remember if Redford ever got married. And if he did, I'm sure faithful was likely not in his vocabulary, being the stud muffin that he was. And isn't Redford still alive? I think Newman definitely passed away. I know for sure he has, but Redford is probably still living. Let's see. He's probably about as old as Gene Hackman, 88 years old. Okay. Wow. He's not looking good. Sorry, not sorry. He doesn't need to wear that much makeup because that to me just makes him look worse. Oh, he did get married. He was married in 2009. He's currently married to Sybil Sazgers. So that they've been married for 16 years. Good for them. And then he was married from 1958 to 1985. Well, I take it back. I eat my words. He was married to somebody named Lola Van Wegenen. And so he's got 3 kids. Oh, I remember that he has a child. So 1, 2, 3, 4 kids. James, Amy, Scott, and Shauna. So, and a few grandchildren. Of course, he's ahead of me with that, isn't he? Well, he probably has great grandchildren by now as well. Anyway, good for him that he's still alive. And his grandson has grown up to be his twin, an article says, from 2023. That's cute. And yeah, Paul Newman, he passed away in 2008. What did he pass away from? Lung cancer. So he was married to Joanne Woodward from 1958 to 2008. So basically he'd been married previously. He was not as pure as I thought. I say that sarcastically. Jackie Witt was his first wife from 1949 to 1958. And then they were both 5'10". That's funny, or at least that's what it says. And I did not realize that Paul Newman was from Shaker Heights, Ohio. That's a little suburb of Cleveland that's known for being very, uh, what's the word? Integrated. Shaker Heights is very like boho chic and very uh, Stepford Wives and very progressive. There we go. Boho chic, Stepford Wives, progressive. It's a unique place, Shaker Heights is. And that's cool that he was born there. So there's a television series and book series, or it's not a book series, it's just a book called Little Fires Everywhere that is about Shaker Heights. And then Reese Witherspoon starred in the television series. It's very popular, so maybe you've heard of it or seen it. Anyway, I knew that Paul Newman went to college in Ohio at Kenyon College, which is one of the most amazing institutions I've ever witnessed in my lifetime, right up there with Reed College, which is one of my all-time favorites. Um, Kenyon College is in the heart of Ohio. It's just north of Columbus. So between Columbus and Cleveland, basically. And he went to school there. And I think Rutherford B. Hayes went to school there, one of the presidents of our country. And some other people went to school there, like Allison Jennings, some other famous people. It's a very small college and a very, very amazing place. So Paul Newman's estate is mostly left in perpetuity to the college. So it continues, even though it's super small, it continues to thrive, basically. And also because of Rutherford B. Hayes. I think that's the president who went to school there. Let's see. I'll look it up real quick so I know what I'm talking about. Kenyon. So yeah, if you've heard of Kenyon College, everything you've heard is true. I mean, if you've heard of it, you've probably heard amazing things about it. And if you're like me, you're like, why? What makes it so amazing? What makes it more amazing than any other college? So it says here, Kenyon College, private liberal arts in Gambier, Ohio, founded in 1824 by Episcopal Bishop Philander Chase. It is the oldest private institution of higher education in the state of Ohio and enrolls approximately 1,800 undergraduate students. Wow, it's not as expensive as I thought. Cost average after aid is $34,000. It's one of the most expensive colleges in the country, I'm pretty sure. I know it's one of the most expensive in the state. It says undergraduate tuition is essentially $70,000 before packages, because it's like college these days. They have like their sticker price and then the actual price, which they craft individually for each student. So it's like you never need to be too scared by the sticker price. Apply and find out what kind of package they'll give you, and then basically go to whichever one gives you the best package, right? What is Kenyon College known for? Strong writing and critical thinking programs. And I thought it would have just said the famous people. Let's see. It doesn't even, notable alumni. It doesn't even list them. That's very, humble of them to not list. But let's see. I should set my phone down. This is what happens when I get in my phone, right? I just wanted to find out the president. Make sure that I got it's Rutherford B. Hayes, I think. But Why won't it just tell me? Hello. I know Denison University is where Steve Carell went to school, right? Funny man, Steve Carell. So I'm just going to have to go with Kenyon College famous alumni. Rutherford B. Hayes, yeah. And then a bunch of people who I've never heard of. Josh Radner, Shaka Smart. That looks like I don't know who these people are, but Paul Newman, Rutherford B. Hayes, Robert Lowell, E.L. Doctorow, Edward Stanton. How come it's not putting out Allison Janney? Is that her name? Who famous went to Kenyon College? Oh, because she's a girl. That's why, right? That's annoying. I guess I need to be more specific. Famous actress alumni. Yes, Allison Jennings. I wasn't sure if I was getting her name right. And then Emily Gould, who I've heard of, and Laura Hillenbrand, who I've also heard of. Okay. Oh, and Allison Janney played in the West Wing. She played the White House press secretary. She played the Caroline with a K character, right? Very easy on the eyes. Got to run. Thank you for a lovely show this evening. Congrats on the new arrival. Well, thank you, my dear. I'm sorry, that was just like 3 minutes ago. Sorry if I missed saying goodbye to you. That was very nice of you to hang out and chat with me. And I'll replace pinned message. And I think I'll sign off here. I have one person in the house. If you want to say hi or bye, please do. That might have been Helby. Hellaby. What else? Yeah, I want to sign off so that we can all get on with our Sunday afternoon. But I'm sure that there's something that I want to say here about. Yeah, I want to underscore the reversing of the executive order to cancel the tracking of the abducted 20,000 abducted children from the Ukraine war. So that's been reversed. So they are going to track them again. They're going to try to rehire all the people that they let go at Yale and the other institutions that were tracking it. I hope if they can find their contact information, right? Like what happened with all of the folks that they let go that were working on nuclear warheads. Canceled them all, canceled their emails, didn't know how to get a hold of them to tell them it was a mistake and they'd like to invite them back to their job if they're a white dude, and if they're not, then it wasn't a mistake and it sticks, right? Unreal. So that was one of the executive orders that was imperative. The other executive order is even more imperative, maybe. I don't know. It depends. I mean, they're both extremely imperative. The other executive order I think that was just recently signed was the Lilith Fast Track Mining Executive Order. And I'm just going to look to see when that was signed. Executive Order for lithium mining fast track. I mean, Lilith. Let's see what artificial intelligence tells us. March 20th. This is whitehouse.gov. Immediate measures to increase mineral production. So that was 9 days ago. 10 days ago, March 20th. But then 2 days ago, Fast Track Feds look to fast tracking Lilith mining exploration in Southeast Oregon. Okay, this is extremely important. I need to read this to you and then I'm going to sign off. So, are you ready? This was updated the day before yesterday, Friday night, actually. I'm just going to read it quickly if I can. The feds are proposing to allow an Australian company to explore for Lilith on the Oregon-Nevada border, and it's giving the public scant time to respond. This is the jackpot of all jackpots in regards to the Lilith. The U.S. Bureau of Land Management earlier this week posted an environmental assessment for high-tech minerals to do exploratory drilling for Lilith within the McDermott caldera. That was what, McDermott caldera. I'd never heard of it until this morning. We're going to be hearing a lot more about it. The McDermott caldera, an old volcano that spans the state line. The company, a subsidiary of Jindalee Lilith, says an area has one of the highest concentrations of Lilith in our country. The exploration, potentially the first step toward opening a new mine, would take place in Oregon's Malheur County over 5 years. A Lilith mine is already under construction on the Nevada side of the caldera. So it's probably the same one that I was just referring to over there in Nevada, right? I was trying to figure out where that county was. So it is probably the county of the Madera County. It's confusing trying to keep up with all this stuff. The McDermott caldera. Malheur County is the part of it that's in Oregon. I'll read that last sentence again. A lithium mine is already under construction on the Nevada side of the caldera. Lilith is essential to producing the batteries that can be used to store renewable energy and power electric vehicles. And while President Donnie Little T has threatened to repeal the Inflation Reduction Act that benefits renewable technologies, why threaten? Like, real presidents don't threaten. He also has extolled the need for critical minerals. Last week, El Presidente issued an executive order to boost domestic mineral production and fast-track approval for such projects. The Secretary of the Interior shall prioritize mineral production and mining-related purposes as the primary land uses in these areas, the order reads. I just had the most disgusting thought, you guys. Are they planning on putting the prisoners and maybe the kidnapped children into these mines to make them work? I hope that's just a conspiracy theory. It's just a question at this point. I hope the idea is just a bad idea. Okay, because they're trying to make it legal for 14-year-olds to work overnight and full-time in Florida. Do they have high concentrations of Lilith in Florida underneath all that sand? I don't know. But that's something we can look into. We'll look into that. To quote little Donnie T, the Secretary of the Interior shall prioritize mineral production and mining related purposes as the primary land uses in these areas, the order reads. The assessment for high-tech minerals has been in the works since 2023. And see, the Tesla problem and the protests against Tesla undermine all of this plan for mining. They're bundling the freaking dudes, the big E and the little T, and they're bundling all of their money and business together, and they are lying and cheating and stealing. It's them against the world. But they're thick as thieves. They'll toss each other under the bus as quickly as they need to. Okay, the BLM, that's not Black Lives Matter, that's the Bureau of Land Management, gave the public just 5 days. Wait. The assessment for high-tech minerals has been in the works since 2023, but the Bureau of Land Management gave the public just 5 days until March 31st, tomorrow, to comment on a 103-page document and nearly 700 additional pages of technical reports. You guys, we got to get busy. I didn't even realize, I thought tomorrow was April Fool's Day. We have until tomorrow. What do we do? Panic. Environmental groups and tribes that oppose the mining project said such a short comment period is intended to thwart public input on the plan and is unprecedented for a federal agency that typically provides 30 to 90 days for the public to review and comment on documents. In my 30 years of commenting on NEPA, N-E-P-A, EIS and EA's environmental review documents, I've never seen this short of a comment period for mining activity of this scale. It is clear that the little t administration does not care about these rural, directly affected people and the place they call home, John Hatter, director of the Great Basin Research Watch, said in a statement. The Reno-based nonprofit reviews mine proposals and works to protect habitat. Hatter also said the government should require a full environmental impact statement for the project, allowing at least 2 months for public review. The federal agency found the exploration project would not lead to significant environmental impacts and hence did not require a full environmental review. The assessment, dubbed a draft plan of operations, describes the creation of access roads, monitoring wells, and more than 260 drill sites that would disturb about 100 acres across 7,200 acres of sagebrush grasslands. The habitat is home to imperiled species such as the greater sage grouse and the Lahontan cutthroat trout. It is also the ancestral and current homeland for Fort McDermott, Pult, Shoshone, and Bannock tribes. So, my husband did some biology projects out there when he was a college kid and right after. The document says the project would begin immediately upon federal and state authorization. It's not clear what state permits apply to the exploration. Don Manzanewski, I think. Don Manzanewski, a spokesperson with the Bureau of Land Management in Oregon, couldn't be immediately reached for comment. So, this is very concerning. I know from the year that I lived in Oregon that the state is a mess, a hot mess when it comes to government. So it's just ripe for the picking. So I'm going to end my video so that it's not an hour and a half long. So it's a little bit short of that. I know this stuff is not very sexy. It's not very fun. It's not very true crimey, but it is criminal. And it is, I think, more than extremely important for us to pay attention to, or we're not going to have a planet, to quote El Presidente when he talked about if we didn't vote for him, we weren't going to have a country. And if President Z doesn't work with him, he won't have a country. He needs to quit threatening everybody, but he can't stop. I mean, I think that he's addicted to money and power. I think both little T and big E and some of these other characters like PP, they're so addicted to money and power that they can't stop themselves. So they'll be their own undoing, in my opinion. But I think it's important that we all pay attention and do what we can. And so please hit the like, notify your friends that there's this really boring video that they must watch, share it with them, and everybody make sure you're still subscribed, please. I beg of you. If you if you want, I don't want to ask you to do anything you don't want to do, whether you like it or not. Subscribe, whether you like it or not. Okay. All right. Some little authoritarianism jest at the end, just to try to finish on a lighter note. I'll put some good links in the description. Peace out, love and light. Happy birthday to my grandson, the mini me, the mini of my mini me. So exciting. So lots of love and light. And, you know, babies are just phenomenal. They give us all hope for the future. And we've got to keep this planet from being a toxic waste zone with slaves mining Lilith and passing away. I mean, mining is so effing dangerous. And, you know, exploiting the Earth's surface or beneath the Earth's surface is so dangerous. Did you guys see that movie, The Earth's Core, from the 70s, where they drilled into the molten lava in the middle of our planet? I'll never forget it. It left quite an impression on me. Anyway, I'm going to wrap. Love and light, and thanks a million. You're the bomb. I appreciate all my viewers, especially the ones that make comments, but I appreciate every watch. I appreciate every like, every click, because it all helps the algorithm. And doing this process helps me kind of bring it down a notch and feel like I'm doing what I can to be productive, to fight against the dragon slayers we are, right? OMG. We can do this, you guys. We just all have to stick together. It's all about community. Power to the people, truth to power, love and light.